Trauma didn't make me harder, healing made me softer. Welcome to day 69. I'm Dr. Nicole, and today I'm sharing something deeply personal: how trauma work shaped my journey back to softness. This is a vulnerable video because I'm sharing not just as a psychologist, but as a woman who has done her own healing work. I believe that the most powerful thing I can offer you is authenticity, showing you that the path to softness isn't always linear, that healing is possible, even for those of us who help others to heal. If you've experienced trauma, if you've been in survival mode so long that it feels like it's part of your personality now, or if you're wondering whether healing can actually make you softer, this story is for you. Let me start by sharing how trauma shapes us. Trauma isn't just about dramatic events. It's about any experience that overwhelmed your nervous system's ability to cope and that left an imprint on how you see yourself, how you see others, and how you see the world. Common trauma responses include fight. That's where you may become aggressive, controlling, or defensive. Flight. That's where you're avoiding, escaping, or staying busy to outrun your feelings. Freeze, shutting down, going numb, or disconnecting. And fawn, people pleasing, over accommodating, losing yourself to keep others happy. Let me share how trauma shaped my responses. I was primarily a fawn and flight responder. I kept myself incredibly busy, always achieving, always doing, always moving, because stillness felt dangerous to me. If I stopped, I might have to feel things that I wasn't ready to feel. I also fawned, keeping everyone around me comfortable, managing their emotions, making myself small or useful so I would be accepted and loved and not be a target. The result is that I was incredibly productive and helpful on the outside, but completely disconnected from my authentic self on the inside. I had learned how to survive in those ways, but I had forgotten how to live. One of the most transformative parts of my healing journey was EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. EMDR is a therapeutic approach that helps the brain to process traumatic memories that have gotten stuck in the nervous system. It works through something that we call bilateral stimulation, that could be eye movements, tapping, or sounds. And EMDR helps the brain reprocess traumatic memories so that they lose that emotional charge that many of us feel. What I discovered through EMDR were the memories that were driving my behavior. I discovered early experiences that had taught me it wasn't safe to be soft, it wasn't safe to need things, and it wasn't safe to be vulnerable. These experiences had been running my life from the background without my full awareness of them. And I had formed certain beliefs, such as I have to earn love through performance. Needing things makes me a burden. Softness gets you hurt. These beliefs were so deeply embedded that I didn't even know that I had them. Then there was the physical holding. I discovered where I was holding trauma in my body: the chronic tension in my shoulders, the tightness in my chest, and the shallow breathing that had become my normal. The most profound insight, though, was that my hardness was not my personality. It was protection. It was armor that I had built to keep myself safe from pain that felt unbearable at the time. And when I processed those memories, when I gave my nervous system the chance to complete what it had started, the armor started to soften. And let me say this: when I say my hardness, other people didn't really recognize it as that, but I knew inside that I was holding on and having an armor of protection because I didn't feel safe. Beyond EMDR, therapy taught me something fundamental: how to regulate my nervous system. Before I started therapy years ago, I didn't know that my anxiety that would creep up on me was a nervous system response, not a character flaw. That I could actually change how my body responded to stress. That regulation was a skill that could be learned and practiced. That my body held wisdom I had been ignoring. What regulation through therapy looked like was learning to notice when I was activated before I reached overwhelm. developing tools to bring myself back to calm, such as breathing, grounding, and movement, understanding my triggers and why they affected me so deeply, and building the capacity to sit with emotions instead of running from them and trying to outwork them. As I became more regulated, I became more soft. Not because I was trying to be soft, but because softness is my natural state when I'm not in survival mode. This was revelatory. Softness is not something I had to create or perform, it was always there, underneath the protective armor. Regulation just allowed it to emerge. One of the hardest parts of healing was letting go of survival mode because survival mode had become my identity. Survival mode felt like constant vigilance and readiness, always anticipating problems, never fully relaxing, measuring my worth by my productivity, feeling guilty when I wasn't doing. And it was so hard to let go because it felt familiar and therefore safe. It had worked all of these years. I had achieved a lot in survival mode. Letting go felt like losing control. I didn't know who I was without that armor. And the fear was that if I let go of my hardness, would I be able to handle life? Would I be taken advantage of? Would I lose the edge that kept me competitive and productive? But what I discovered is that the opposite was true. When I let go of survival mode, I became more effective, not less. I made better decisions because I was thinking from clarity instead of fear. I had better relationships because I was present instead of defended. I achieved more because I was working from alignment instead of anxiety. The truth is, survival mode was never my strength, it was my limitation. My real strength emerged when I healed. As I did my own healing work, something unexpected happened. Over time, I became a better therapist and coach. Before my deep healing, I was technically skilled, but emotionally guarded. I could analyze patterns, but I struggled to be fully present with my own pain. I maintained professional distance with colleagues, but sometimes it felt like emotional unavailability. I was helping I was able to help from my head, but sometimes my heart was missing. After my healing journey, I could be fully present with clients' pain without being overwhelmed by it. I could be present with my own pain without it interfering with what I needed to do. I could model the softness and regulation that I was teaching. I could be authentic about my own journey in ways that created connection. I was helping from both my head and my heart. And that is the most powerful thing that I offer my clients. It's not just my knowledge or my techniques, it's my deep presence. And presence requires softness. When clients see me, they acknowledge. Over time, I've been able to acknowledge my own struggles without shame, to speak about my healing journey with vulnerability, to model regulated soft responses to difficult topics, to show that strength and softness can coexist. And when I do that, the people around me give themselves permission to do the same. I want to be honest, trauma healing is not linear and it's not finished. There are still moments when old patterns emerge. It's true for me and it's true for all of us. There are moments when I default to overfunctioning, when I feel the urge to armor up, when survival mode tries to reassert itself. But now I have awareness of what's happening, tools to regulate and return to softness, compassion for the parts of me that had to learn to survive, and trust that I can handle whatever comes up. The difference between before and after is that before I was hard without knowing, and after I can choose softness consciously. More importantly, something profound that I learned from one of my therapists was that my trauma responses weren't character flaws. They were intelligent adaptations to difficult circumstances. They deserve compassion, not judgment. And the parts of me that learned to be hard, they were trying to protect me. They deserve gratitude, not shame. But at the same time, they don't have to run my life anymore. If you're watching this and you recognize yourself in my story, if you've been in survival mode so long, it feels like your personality, if you've forgotten what softness feels like, if you're wondering whether healing is possible for you, I want you to know it is possible. Your softness isn't gone. It's just protected by armor that made sense at the time. Healing doesn't make you weak, it makes you whole. Therapy, EMDR, coaching, community, these aren't signs of weakness, they're signs of wisdom. They're signs that you're ready to stop surviving and start living and thriving. Healing restores who you were before survival, before the armor, before the walls, before you learned that softness wasn't safe. Before all of that, there was a woman who was naturally soft, naturally open, naturally radiant. She's still there. Healing helps you to find her again. Hit subscribe for day 70, where I'm sharing the feminine vibe system, my complete framework for building softness, magnetism, and feminine energy. Tell me in the comments, what's one way healing made you softer? I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Dr. Nicole.